What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so this one was recommended by a lot of you guys to kind of catch up with the lore of how everything works within the Loonaverse. So this is the Loona theory, complete Loona theory. This is every video analyzed. This is only the first one. This is the introduction. So this is on Twinfish's channel. Genuinely go subscribe because a lot of work looks like it's been put into this whole breaking down theory and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited. Make sure you grab snacks, drinks, food, all that kind of stuff. It's a long one, so I hope you guys are excited. I know I am. Without further ado, let's get straight into this video, guys. And I hope you enjoy it.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
This is my complete analysis and discussion about Loona, the Loonaverse, and what clues BBC is leaving us. Throughout the entire video, I will be giving thorough explanations in regards to symbolism, religious solutions, and various extended metaphors.
Cool.
I will be stopping and explaining certain aspects of the theory, so please watch with patience and intrigue.
Yes, please.
Please keep in mind that this is just a theory. These are my personal interpretations of the information BBC has provided us.
Oh.
Loona's lore is complex, and everything BBC has placed in their teaser images, music videos, and lyrics are absolutely deliberate. I just wanted to make this video to share my ideas, and also invite possible fans to learn about the lore, formulate their own opinions, and possibly join the fan base. If you have any information from your own interpretations, if you disagree, or just want to inquire further about something I've mentioned in the video, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to make this as short as possible, but some things may need more expansive descriptions to fully convey what they mean. Without further ado, let's enter the Loonaverse.
She's so beautiful. Actually, they all are.
This is a breakdown of the contents of this video. I will be separating the segments into chapters. There will be timestamps in the description for your own navigational needs. Chapter 1 is a brief introduction to Loona and their members. This will cover their names, animals, colors, fruits, in places. Chapter 2 is a brief introduction to Loona lore. It will discuss what BBC has officially posted thus far.
Awesome. Alright,
Chapter
sweet.
3 will discuss Eden, simply as stated. Chapter 4 will be individual breakdowns of each Loona music video published during pre-debut. Explanations will be interwoven, and timestamps will be provided in the description.
Sweet. This is really chill, by the way.
Of all that I covered in the video.
It's just gonna be me watching this video. I'm warning you now.
And what is to come
Sorry.
from Loona and their lore. Now that we've covered the contents, let's start.
The Loona subreddit, by the way, has been really good to me. It's been really well thought out, though.
She was the first girl to be revealed. Her color is bright pink, her animal a rabbit, and her location is Paris,
Sweet.
France. This is Young Jin. Her color is yellow, her animal a cat, and her location is Tokyo, Japan. This is Hostile. Her color is green, her animal is a white bird, and her location is Iceland. This is Yo Jin. Her color is orange, her animal a frog, and her location is Taiwan. This is Vivi. Her color is pastel rose, her animal a deer, and her location is Busan, South Korea. This is Kim Lip. Her color is red, her animal an owl, and her superpower is super speed. This is Jin Seol. Her color is royal blue, that is blue and black when divided, her animal a blue betta fish, and her superpower is teleportation.
Alright, circle.
This is Tori. Her color
Cherry.
is purple.
Is that how you pronounce it? I've been pronouncing it cherry.
She does not have a superpower. This is Eve. Her color is burgundy, her animal is swan, and her food is an apple.
The whole apple thing was nuts.
This is June. Her color is peach, her animal a penguin, and her food is a strawberry. This is Gowan. Her color is Eden green, her animal a butterfly, and her food is a pineapple. This is Olivia Hay, the last girl to be revealed as a member of Loona. Her color is silver, her animal a wolf, and her food is a blood plum.
Nice. Apologise, Al.
Loona's lore, as stated prior, is rather complex. With the deliberate placement of symbolism, and with the various attributes of the Looniverse, it is hard to just jump into. BBC has listed official statements about Loona's lore as we know it today. The first time this lore was mentioned was in 1/3 Sonatine music video.
Oh goddamn, that's a lot.
BBC writes here that the Sonatine materializes a girl who is lost alone in a dark forest. They also state that she runs in deeper, and that 4 other girls cast a secret spell of love. But who is this one girl? We can assume that the other 4 are Vivi, Youngjin, Heejin, and Hosole, as they are the members singing and appearing in the Sonatine music video. BBC later states that the girls who are lost in the forest have gathered here. They then identify the one girl who materialized, Yeojin. It is known that Yeojin is a backslash in 1/3, but what BBC shares makes perfect sense. Yeojin is not present in any promotions for the subunit, therefore she could have materialized in the middle of the forest, and Anne needed to be found by the rest of 1/3, as stated. The next time we hear of Loona's lore is in Eclipse. BBC states that love and live in love and evil were the first real steps into the Looniverse. If this statement is true, then we can assume that Yeojin was the start of the Looniverse timeline.
Awesome!
But don't worry, we will get to that in due time.
So
Let's
her
focus
being
on
the
content.
slash, obviously, the one was
previously stated,
BB because
the
she's
next time we
the
see Loona's
android,
lore is in Eclipse.
I assume.
Here, BBC states that OEC and 1/3 will coexist and unify in the Looniverse. This is especially important to note, as BBC also states that when the other members around the world unite, the moon Loona has been dreaming about will be complete. They also ask if Yeojin will find her way to her other members without wandering somewhere else, and ask who else Kim Lib will meet in anticipation of the reveal of the next 2 girls. It is interesting to note that BBC mentions Yeojin wandering off somewhere else. Where could she have gone? Who could she have met? Could she be the unifying force?
Ooh, that'd be
Like
awesome.
I said, we will cover that in due time.
She's the youngest, isn't she?
For
So
right now, I
Yeojin.
just pose these questions to engage you, the viewer, and allow you to formulate your own thoughts. Let's keep going. After Eclipse, in Singing in the Rain, we gain more insight to the Looniverse. In Eclipse, it was said that Jinsul was rescued from a basement in Hong Kong by Vivi, respectfully.
Huh.
In Singing in the Rain, however, BBC gives us information about 1/3, telling of how they met. Heejin and Youngjin were schoolmates, who joined Loona together. Hosile causes rain wherever she goes, and tends to Yeojin in a mother-like fashion. Then Vivi, the android from Hong Kong, completes 1/3 and the first part of the Looniverse. BBC compares the girls of Loona to building blocks, slowly coming together to form something bigger as a whole, starting with singles, then subunits, to later come together as a group. After Singing in the Rain, Love Cherry Motion is the next
I
song
love
we
that
see
song, by
officially
the
in
way.
Loona. OEC is now complete with the introduction of Choi-ri, and the Looniverse has expanded. Girlfriend further reveals information about the start of the Looniverse. Heejin's Vivid created a group named 3, consisting of herself, Youngjin, and Hosole. Yeojin became the backslash, while Vivi was the one that complete Loona 1/3. Kim Lip, Jinsul, and Choi-ri came together to create Odd Eye Circle. BBC also writes that odd not only literally means odd, but also represents 3 moons.
Yeah.
This makes sense, as both Chori and Jinseul's moons are waxing, while Kim Lip's, like her title track, is eclipsing.
Eclipse. Yeah.
They do look similar to the word odd. In Sweet Crazy Love, the next music
It's
video
nuts.
lore, we learn that Sweet Crazy Love is, quote, the prequel to the birth of Odd Eye Circle, depicting the identity of Odd Eye Circle. BBC
Cool.
also states that after 1/3 and Odd Eye Circle, there are only 4 more girls left to complete the zodiac signs. But who will they be? Will
Boom.
they ever meet the other girls in the Looniverse? Could one of them be the girl that was circling Odd Eye Circle in Girlfriend? We next find more information in Eve's music video, New. This is where the lore gains yet another layer of complexity. BBC writes that Eve asks a question in the Garden of Eden, asking, is it really a bad thing to disobey God? If someone has already decided our fate, wouldn't it be a better life to stand up against that fate? BBC says that
Yeah, I
even
suppose.
if it isn't something as grand as God or fate, Eve will not surrender to herself, to any walls, or to any glass ceilings that she may have to face. BBC also references 1/3 and Odd Eye Circle, stating that Loona shuffles and swaps words to strengthen the Looniverse's Mobius strip so that they can become one.
The Mobius
If you
strip.
don't know what a Mobius strip is, I will cover that in the next chapter.
Awesome.
For
Cool.
now, let's continue with the concrete truth of BBC's written Loona lore. Chu's heart attack is where we next learn more. BBC shares that Chu has a desire to be loved by Eve. They reference historical and artistic symbolism, which we will cover later. There is a message at the end of the description that is most interesting. It reads, when 4 girls who denied the Garden of Eden gather, the party begins. But who are the last 2 girls?
I like that it's
In
it
Go
used a
1
lot
and
of
only,
like
we learn that Go 1 appears in
Yeah.
the universe where Chu and Eve met after denying the Garden of Eden. 1 and only is about self-love, and even if you feel irrelevant and small, Go 1 sings, it is not a coincidence that I've met myself. The one and only Go 1 is precious. The last statement in the description reads, Eve, Chu, and Go 1 will soon meet the last piece of the puzzle to create their own universe of girls who escaped the Garden of Eden.
Yep. Know that one already.
Olivia's is one of the most informative lore descriptions we have. It first tells of 1/3 going around the world to unite the girls of the Looniverse. They then released Love and Love and Love and Evil to show how they transformed to Loona. It then discusses Eve, Chu, and Go
She's
1
stunning.
and how their songs revolve around their ego and
Somebody got
self-identity.
not annoyed, but like not
The
like
girls' egos are
actually
seen as
annoyed that I
someone
called
who
her.
admires
I thought she
someone
looked like
or envies
Moonbull, but
another.
I was like, well, Moonbull was my
Sometimes
bias.
It can stem from self-loathing or disappointment in oneself.
Yeah.
However, the girls realize that self-awareness is not decided upon or created by someone else, but rather built by oneself when living who they are. This can be applied not only to the 3 girls unveiled prior to Olivia Hay, but to herself as well. As the last member revealed, Olivia is the last piece of the puzzle in Loona's lore.
What is Eden and the Mobius strip?
Whether you were raised Christian or not, you surely must
Yeah,
be familiar
everyone
with
knows
the
the
story
Garden
of
of
Adam
Eden.
and Eve and the Garden of Eden. God created the Garden of Eden full of various fruits, and it was a paradise. Then, when God created man, he placed him in this garden to tend to it and all its fruit and animals. This story was recorded in the Old Testament, from the book of Genesis. God created man so that he could tend to the vegetation in his Garden of Eden. Eden itself means fertile plain in Sumerian, and delight from a similar sounding Hebrew word. The garden was a paradise, filled with all of the creatures God created, and it needed to be tended to. For this reason, God made man out of clay in the ground. God forged many trees in the garden, each sprouting its own unique fruits. He created the tree of life in the middle of the garden, with the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. God then placed man in the garden, giving him an order. Man
Not
was
to
free
eat
to eat from any of the trees
any
in the
other
garden,
trees apart from that
except
one.
the tree of knowledge of good and bad. If he were to eat from this tree, the moment he ate, he was surely doomed to die. From there, God created woman, a companion for man. Though they were naked, they felt no shame. The way of life in Eden was peaceful until Eve's fateful encounter with the serpent. He asked her, "Did God really say you couldn't eat from any of the trees in the garden?" To which she replied, "We may eat the fruit from the trees in the garden. It is only about the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden that God said we may not eat it, or even touch it, lest you die." The serpent assured the woman, saying, "You certainly will not die. No, God knows the moment you eat it your eyes will be opened and you will be like the gods who know what is good and what is bad."
Yeah, and she'd get banished
The woman saw that
from
the
the
fruit
Garden
was
of Eden as
tempting
well,
to
so...
appearance, and that it was desirable for gaining wisdom. Thus, she ate it. Adam was equally intrigued by the fruit, and ate it as well. Then the eyes of both of them were opened. They finally realized the shame of nudity, and made clothing out of fig leaves. God called out to Adam, who hid himself and Eve in the garden. God asked, "Where are you?" To which Adam replied, "I heard you in the garden, but I was afraid, because I was naked. So I hid myself." God asked, "Who told you you were naked? You have eaten, then, from the tree of which I had forbidden you to eat." The man then replied, "The woman whom you put here with me, she gave me fruit from the tree, so I ate it." Then God asked the woman why she did such a thing. She answered, "The serpent tricked me into it, so I ate it." God dealt man, woman, and the serpent their own punishments. God said, "See, the man has become like one of us, knowing what is good and what is bad.
Yeah, I know the Garden of
He
Eden
must
story.
not be allowed to put out his hand to take fruit from the tree of life also, and thus eat of it and live forever." The Lord God then banished the man from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he had been taken. But what does the Garden of Eden have to do with Loona and the Looniverse? We can relate many aspects of the religious story from Genesis to the girls in the Looniverse. First and foremost, the fruit. It should be obvious, when looking at the official lore and the girls of YY, that they consumed fruit to gain knowledge and self-awareness. Though their fruits are not all the same, the concept is universal. The girls gave in to the charming appeal of self-knowledge, rejecting the oblivious ideals they had known in Eden. Eve's is the most blatant one. Her fruit is an apple, the fruit universally associated with the tree of knowledge of good and bad. Since she is the first girl to reject Eden and the ideals given to her there, it makes sense as to why BBC elected an apple as her fruit. We will discuss fruits further later on.
Cool.
Aside from fruits, let's discuss Eden's appeal. Eden is literally described as a paradise in the Bible, a place that is harmonious, lush, and plentiful. Who would want to leave? Everything has been handed to those that resided in Eden by the Creator, God. They did not have to work a day in their lives and were given plentiful resources. You'd be crazy to leave Eden, wouldn't you? Perhaps it seems that way on the surface, but with further examination, it is easy to justify YY's actions. Recall that it was said in Eve's music video that Eve asked if it was a bad thing to disobey God. Why would she entertain that idea in the first place? In the Garden of Eden, as stated, everything was handed to those that
And obviously
well
her name is Eve
they
as
did
well.
not have to
It's
formulate
big
original
symbolism
God,
there.
nor engage in original sin. They were created in God's image, and were expected to stay that way. God only gave them one rule, and that was to prevent them from self-awareness that they could obtain from eating the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge of bad and good.
Would you?
Eve's desire to rebel is only human, and both God and the Creator in the universe must have known this. Eve also wishes to stand up against a fate that was already decided for her, much like the bleak and oblivious life Adam and Eve were expected to lead. Though Adam and Eve were provided for, serving someone who loved them and made them in his own image, prior to their gaining of wisdom from disobeying and eating the fruit, their life was boring. Since they couldn't think for themselves or make their own choices outside of God's original plan for them, they were just living the way someone else had intended for them.
As well. It's another bit.
Eve absolutely did not want this. She did what she had to in order to escape, find herself, and lead a life she wanted, not one designed or destined by someone else, no matter if it was God or a creator of the universe. After deciding her own fate, loving herself, and rebelling against the ideals that were instilled in Eden, Eve set out to inspire the last three members of YY. the fruit and the knowledge it garners and bestows, as we will cover further in Chapter 4, is tempting not only to the last 4 girls, but to others as well.
Yeah, that was
You will see
BB,
this in
wasn't it?
further analysis of the other members' videos. Another aspect we need to discuss is the way each of the girls who rejected Eden have gone about doing just that. The descriptions in the Loona lore tells us in a vague manner. It is up to us, the fans, to interpret just what they mean when they say certain things. The next thing we are going to talk about is the ego and original sin. We know that, after Eve made a conscious decision, despite being deceived, to consume the fruit of knowledge, she not only was able to gain a moral compass, but also engaged in sin. The first sin committed. Original sin. Prior to this, men could not know the difference between bad and good or right and wrong, just as God had designed them to be. It was only after disobeying and gaining insight to an intangible, deeper aspect of the world God had crafted that they figured out their personal thought could define their action. The moral compass they gained from knowing good and bad also defined the connotation of their actions. Adam and Eve knew they could kill, steal, or lie, but because they also knew that those were considered evil, they would not do it. They still desired God's love. When they engaged in original sin, they didn't realize the severity of what they were about to do before they did it, for they were not given that knowledge.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like the Garden of Eden, and then that lady was supposed to be God or something.
All she knew was that she was curious about disobeying God and defying the path he had destined for her. She didn't realize the domino effect this would initiate. But she is only human, right? Not necessarily. After they know good and evil, Adam and Eve become godlike, as only God could ever grant judgment on what truly is good or evil, for he created it. This consumption of fruit is what allowed Adam and Eve to conjure negative and destructive concepts such as shame, evil, and, in Eve's case, pride and envy. It is said in Gowan's music video that Eve, Chu, and Gowan talk about their ego. The ego is a part of the girls that is influenced from admiring someone or envying another. It can even stem from self-loathing or disappointment in oneself. Loving oneself is not defined by anyone else. The girls decide that it is in accordance with their new faith that they have rewritten that they are the only ones who can indulge in themselves and their egos. This is in accordance with envy and pride, two of the 7 deadly sins.
7 deadly sins.
It is boastful and unbecoming to indulge in oneself and to love oneself. But why would the why girls care anymore? They have already defied God and escaped Eden and its instilled morals and protection. They are rewriting their fate within loving themselves and indulging in themselves. They are sinning and they don't care, for they have been exiled from Eden anyways. What is stopping them?
True. Very true.
The Mobius strip is a seemingly difficult concept to understand, so let's break it down. A Mobius strip is also called the twisted cylinder. Like a cylinder, it is not a true surface, but rather a surface with boundary. That means that it is a topological space meeting all requirements of a surface, except that certain edges may not be identified with another edge. An object existing in the Mobius strip would be indistinguishable from its own mirror image. Make sure you remember that last statement, as it will be very important in understanding Loona's law. Now that we know the fundamentals of the Mobius strip, let's discuss how objects move on the plane. Here we have a crab moving along the strip. When it first begins on the first side of the plane, its claw is on its right. As it makes its way around for its first loop, the crab flips to coincide with the new side of the strip it is moving along. Then, as it makes its way back around to where it started, its orientation flips, and the claw is on the right side once more. With every circulation, it mirrors itself. A line drawn starting from the seam down the middle will meet back at the seam but at the other side. If continued, the line will meet the starting point and will be double the length of the original strip. If you walk along the edge of the strip, you'll travel twice as long as the loop before you get back to your starting point. Perhaps this is why it is difficult for all of the girls to meet. Now that we have covered the properties of the Mobius strip, let's discuss that of Loonas in the Looniverse. The Looniverse's Mobius strip is seemingly simple, but that will shift rather quickly once we begin to add labels and more information. This is the basic Looniverse Mobius properties. If you were to travel it once, you would, like the original Mobius, pass by your starting point twice. There are 3 basic outlines on the strip.
Okay.
These represent the 3 subunits and 3 parts of the universe in which they manifest. Let's look at a more detailed representation. Though this is a bit outdated due to not listing Y by Y, it still is accurate through all Loona's lore. Here we can see the X and Y axis listed, as well as a flip in the Mobius strip every 90 degrees. There are 3 flips in total. These 3 flips are also in each.
I thought I was going to be learning about quantum physics.
Notice how light and dark are labeled on the strip? Light is always associated with 1/3, and dark is always associated with Y by Y.
Okay.
Odd eye circle is the bridge between. You could further relate this to Y by Y representing evil, sin, or hell, 1/3 representing piety, good, and heaven, and Ook being purgatory. We will further examine this later on. Regardless, it is written right there on the map of the strip, so we cannot ignore that. Next, let's discuss the Loona moon in the center. Looking at this map, ignoring the Mobius strip and just viewing it as a circular line around the Loona moon, doesn't it look like an orbital diagram? Like how Earth orbits the Sun, and the moon orbits Earth? That is interesting to note, as Loona's prelude concert is, in fact, titled, Go Into Orbit. Also recall how in Kim Lip's description, BBC wrote that the construction of the moon Loona has been dreaming about will be complete. But what moon is Loona actually dreaming about? Recall that in my Y by Y's music video, in the description, BBC writes about their song.
Fascinating theory though,
One
holy
of the
crap.
songs is titled Rendezvous 18.6 year. They then mention that the sidereal period of the moon is 18.6 years. But what is the sidereal period? Why 18.6 years? Let's have a brief science lesson discussing the phenomenon known as the lunar standstill. The sidereal motion of the moon is defined as the time required for the moon to complete a 360 revolution around the Earth. It takes 27.3 days. In simpler terms, it is the time it takes for the moon to pass in front of a particular star for the second time. 18.6 years is the length of the lunar cycle.
Okay.
This is what we call the lunar standstill. Though the moon does not come to a complete standstill, it appears lower in the sky for a fixed amount of time. Due to the effects of the sun's gravity, the moon's orbital plane does not stay fixed in space, but precesses. It does so with an 18.6-year cycle, while still maintaining the 5.1 degree tilt relative to the ecliptic. This means that both the most northerly and the most southerly rising and setting of the moon occur every month at the peak of the 18.6-year cycle. But how does this relate to the Mobius strip? How does this relate to the moon being the center of
physics, boys and girls?
Recall that the sidereal motion of the moon is the time it takes for the moon to pass in front of a particular star for the second time. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
It should. When traveling a Mobius strip, if you cross once across the strip, you will travel twice as long as the loop before returning to your starting point.
Yep.
But why does this matter? Well, it's
I'm not
because
sure.
the moon that Loona is dreaming about is one that is in sidereal motion. If they can travel the Mobius strip in its entirety, it is exactly like a sidereal motion of the moon.
Yeah, back to where they begin.
They will be passing a particular star, or starting point, essentially twice. That is perhaps why the Mobius strip map is illustrated in the manner that it is. The Looniverse revolves around the moon in sidereal motion. I believe that the Mobius strip illustrates the path of orbit the Loona girls travel on the 3 planes of the Looniverse. There cannot be another explanation according to physics. I will try to simplify this explanation as much as I can in simple terms.
Go subscribe to this person.
Whether it be a current one or the Looniverse present in
genuinely
lore,
crazy.
has to be flat. The universe possesses 0 total net energy. If the universe were any other shape other than flat, it would have positive or negative energy. If the universe were, for example, a Mobius strip, it would possess energy, positive or negative. It also would not possess a critical density that is needed for a perfectly balanced universe. Our universe, which is in balance and has a density that is exactly at critical density, is flat, and it will continue to expand forever, but at an increasingly slower rate.
Okay. Yep,
it
I
will
know this.
only eventually stop, but only when time reaches infinity. Any other shape of the universe would not have these perfect and livable conditions. It could collapse on itself or expand forever at an extremely fast rate. It also would have any amount of energy, positive or negative, which cannot be. Because of Einstein's theory of relative matter, the universe must have zero energy. This means that you could create a world out of nothing, for nothing has zero net energy associated with it. If it were any other shape, it would have had to have had a source with either positive or negative energy. From the lore of the Looniverse, I believe that it cannot be
quantum physics, ladies and gentlemen.
Whether the Looniverse manifested in a universe of its own outside of ours, or whether it is an extension of it, it has to be flat due to the reasoning I previously listed.
Obviously, because it would be.
That is why I believe the illustration of the universe is one that shows the Mobius as its course of orbit around the moon. Unless BBC willed the Looniverse by some way of magic.
Who thought, oh yeah, we're going to do a girl group.
The Looniverse has the same properties
where we're going to have like lore and stuff like that involved in the group.
There are many questions that I have about the properties of the Looniverse that I need to know in order to confirm the specifics of my personal Mobius theory, but I cannot know. Not until BBC releases more official lore.
Okay.
Anyways, back to our discussion. Like I said, I believe the Mobius strip Loona resides on is the orbital path that they follows, and the planet is composed of 3 central planes. I have done my best to illustrate this concept. We're only going to focus on figure 1.
So Odd-Eye Circle is its own
illustrate splitting a Mobius strip. I left them there at the liberty of the viewer just in case they need a refresher. There are 3 central planes on the Mobius construct of their planet. The positions of 1/3 and y by y are relative. Odd-Eye Circle is the only one that is a fixed plane. That is because Odd-Eye Circle is the bridge between all of the other planes and subunits. We can further examine the transcending of planes that the girls do,
and obviously the Odd-Eye Circle has like the powers and stuff like that as well.
Just note that in my personal theory, there are 3 central planes. Now, let's recap all that we covered in Mobius strip section. I know there was a lot of information, but you must be able to understand it all. It is central to Loona's lore. First, remember the properties of the Mobius strip. An object that exists in a Mobius strip would be indistinguishable from its own mirror image. And if you travel across the strip, you will travel twice as long as the loop before you get back to your starting point. Next, the Sidereal Moon. This is the moon Loona orbits or dreams of.
18 point.
A sidereal moon follows a sidereal motion, which is the required time for a moon to complete a 360 revolution around the Earth. It is the time it takes for the moon to pass in front of a particular star for the second time. 18.6 years is the length of the lunar cycle. My theory is that Loona orbits the sidereal moon, using the Mobius strip orbit to mimic that of a sidereal motion. Recall that, in order to reach your starting point again, you need to travel the Mobius loop twice. Much like a single complete Mobius motion, the sidereal moon needs to pass a particular star twice in order for the motion to be considered sidereal. Both the Mobius motion and sidereal motion abide by similar principles. This was not a coincidence on BBC's part. Everything that BBC does is deliberate and full of symbolism and clues. It is up to us to interpret what they give us. No one is right in their theories, and no one is wrong. We won't know the truth unless BBC outright writes it. We just covered the properties of the Mobius strip and how it relates to Loona's lore. Now, let's cover the properties of the Looniverse. The first thing that we need to discuss is a phenomenon known as the string theory. It is a very abstract yet intriguing concept. I will try to put it in simple terms. Sorry that we are learning so much science today. The string theory involves energy, gravity, and quantum physics. Quantum physics is basically the study of the quantum theory.
It involves quantum mechanics, which examine nature at the smallest scales of energy. This includes minuscule particles such as atoms and molecules, which are things that make up every fundamental aspect of our universe.
Just physics
but
in general is
cannot
nuts.
be seen with your naked eye. They exist and make up reality, even though a human brain is not strong enough to perceive that. Gravity, as you know, is a force that attracts any object with mass and energy to another object with the same. This includes planets, stars, you, and even light. Remember that the closer an object is to one another, the greater their gravitational pull.
Yeah.
That's why we don't just float away when we are on Earth. The last aspect of the string theory is energy. It is a quantitative property that is used to perform work. There
Wow,
are
they're
many
so
different
satisfying
kinds,
to watch.
such as
Ah,
thermal,
Lord.
chemical, and gravitational, to name a
Oh,
few.
I could watch that
The string
forever.
theory states that all objects in our universe are composed of vibrations, or strings, and membranes of energy. It unites general relativity, or gravity, with quantum physics. The theory tells of how these strings move through space and interact with each other.
But this string theory is not perfect. The laws of gravity and the math related to the small particles didn't add up. If they did, we would have unlocked the truth about the universe. But we didn't. Thus, the string theory was
news.
born. It attempts to unify all the aspects into a coherent theory. That's just a basic rundown. If you want to
I
know more
love
specifics,
science.
I will
I
link a
genuinely
video in
love
the
science.
description.
But-
Anyways, in this string
yeah.
theory, there are 10 dimensions. Each dimension interacts with the others to form our universe. The first one is length, or the x-axis. The second is height, or the y-axis. These two dimensions combine to produce two-dimensional objects. The third dimension is depth, or the z-axis. When combined with the x and y-axis, it produces objects with volume, thus creating three-dimensional objects. The first, second, and third dimensions are the only ones that are perceptible to humans. They are the fabric of our reality. And, even though we can't interact with the other 7 dimensions with our 5 senses, that doesn't mean they don't exist. Remember, we can't even see quantum objects with our naked eye, yet we know for a fact that they make up every single thing on our planet and in our universe.
Genuinely crazy.
The fourth dimension is time, occupied by a 3D object. The next dimension is rather interesting, especially in relation to Loona's lore. The fifth dimension is the notion of possible worlds. These possible worlds are slightly different from ours, but have measurable similarities.
Yeah.
Remember when I
no
mentioned that the
dimensions.
universe is similar to ours, but a bit different? That observation ties in with the fifth dimension. I still believe that, even though the universe is in a different dimension than our Earth, it still cannot be a Mobius universe. If you recall, a Mobius universe would expand way too quick or would collapse on itself due to it having any amount of net energy. A universe needs to be flat in order for it to sustain life. Thus, our universe is flat. The same is for the Looniverse. And, because the Looniverse and our universe have tons of similarities, we can again disregard the Looniverse universal dimension as being a Mobius shape. The sixth dimension is a plane of all possible worlds with similar start conditions. It contains all possible universes with the same start conditions as ours. In other words, the sixth dimension is the origin of the Big Bang.
Oh,
The
okay.
seventh dimension is a plane of all possible worlds with different start conditions. The eighth dimension is a plane of all possible worlds, each with different start conditions, branching out infinitely. The ninth dimension is all possible worlds with all possible start conditions and laws of physics. In each of those dimensions, the laws of physics could be different.
Yep.
This is due to universes being similar, but also having differing characteristics, in which one of them could very well be their laws of physics. And the 10th dimension is infinite possibilities. This is a place in which anything with any degree of complexity exists. Anything possible or imaginable exists in this dimension.
Cool.
So then,
Beep-beep.
what does the string theory have to do with Loona? How did the Looniverse
Look at her.
manifest
Look at
then?
her. Look at her.
Let's first remember that if one were to transcend the third dimension, they would no longer be in their home universe or plane.
No.
Anything outside of our universe would be outside of our dimension. For example, the 5th, 6th, 7th, and so on.
Yeah.
Based on that last statement, if the Loona girls somehow transcended to the Looniverse, that means they left our local 3rd dimension. They went to another universe within the 5th dimension with similar properties to ours. We know it as the Looniverse. This idea that they transcended to another universe within the 5th dimension makes sense. This can justify why Kim Lip and Jin Seol have superpowers, the Mobius orbit, the Sidereal Moon. It can allow for all aspects of Loona to come to fruition. The Looniverse is not our universe, because our universe cannot foster the odd, mythical characteristics of the lore. The Looniverse, however, is extremely similar to ours. Thus, I believe the Loona girls must have found a wormhole or way to transcend to their new world.
Yeah.
The string theory is the map that
would make
allows
sense,
us to see,
I guess.
question, and attempt to justify the Looniverse. There are dimensions, or layers, and within those are universes. This is the perfect playground for Loona, for God, for cyborgs, superpowers, fruits, fallen angels. You name it. The Looniverse hosts peculiarities.
That was so subtle, I didn't even notice
said,
that.
The string theory is the map of the park in which the playground lies. Let's quickly recap everything we just covered. We know about this string theory and its 10 central dimensions. We also know that 3D objects such as all living things reside in the 3rd dimension. Any dimension beyond the 3rd is not directly tangible or perceptible to humans and our sensory capabilities. If we were to leave our local 3rd dimension, we would be outside of our own universe, entering the realm of higher dimensions. We discussed that, in order for a universe to be livable, it needs to be flat and needs to possess zero net
no
energy.
negative or no positive.
Therefore, we concluded that the Looniverse cannot be a Mobius strip shape. However, we theorized that the path of orbit for the Looniverse's Earth could be a Mobius path, or the planes of Loona's Earth could follow Mobius shape and laws. This is just speculation with the information that we know about the Looniverse thus far. Somehow, each Loona girl transcended dimensions and awoke in the Looniverse. Now, with all the basic scientific evidence presented, we can finally begin to truly delve into the Looniverse and the pre-debut lore.
If you remember the teaser release, BBC hosted an event known as the Cinema Theory. Here, they showed videos and never-before-seen VCRs, and hosted chats with the members. It was explicitly stated by both BBC and the girls themselves that they trusted the fans not to upload any of the videos online, and to keep the pictures in the theater. While the videos were posted on Twitter, they have since then been deleted. Anyways, while there was no actual footage of the videos and VCR shared at the viewing, there are accounts told by fans who were present. A video posted by YouTuber How to Orbit in March of 2018, just before Olivia's debut, told of the order in which the videos were shown. A master list was also compiled on the Loona Amino app, but the links to the videos have long since been broken as the OP deleted the video. I had already devised 3 possible timelines in which the Loona lore could have happened, but since the Cinema Theory showing order was released, I have reevaluated. I am now ready to share my personal timeline, and break down the lore for you, the way I interpreted it.
Let's go!
Not to toot my own horn or anything, but my overall timeline and theory seem to be about 85% on par with the official lore BBC has shared. My theory being more accurate with the true story, I hope that we fellow orbits can work together and decode the clues.
Actually, it was my original intention not to use the Cinema Theory clips. Since they are already so widespread and known anyways, I will put them in. This will include both the first and second Cinema Theories. If you were looking to avoid spoilers, sorry. All of the clips I present will be discussed anyways, so it can't be avoided past this point. Anyways, here is my timeline.
Let's go. I want to see this.
As you can see, I included the Cinema Theory videos in here as well. For the most part, it is in chronological order. there are no simultaneous happenings. Aside from the two carols, everything is happening like a domino effect. When one thing happens, it triggers another addition to the Looniverse. Everything is also color-coded so that you can associate the videos with the girls and their colors. As you can see, the timeline starts with our first girl, Heejin.
Yep.
It makes sense chronologically.
Heejin,
But she is the
Hyunjin.
first of the Looniverse for a reason. Most of you may know the color theory by YouTuber Loona, as it is pretty popular and ties a lot of loose ends. I myself, before watching those videos, shared the same ideas. Colors, through all works of art, literature, movies, etc., hold great meaning. When I watched those theories
Oh my
and realized
goodness.
that
It's actually
we
one of my
both share
favorite.
those
Actually,
ideas without ever
I would
communicating
probably
them
put
to
it up
each
as
other,
my favorite
it
song.
really excited me. We may be onto something. Anyways,
Vivid
in
was
this
so
theory, Loona states that Heejin is the god of the Looniverse. She is the creator. We will explore this further.
Okay.
But she enters an abandoned world, new, a place she can employ her vibrancy and beauty. She can create the Looniverse by her own design. But she can't do this alone. She employs a palette of angels to help create her world full of color, in Eden and outside through the entirety of the Looniverse. These angels, like the lyrics of Vivid State, have both highlights and shadows. This addition to the central color,
Can't have
a
light
bright
without
pink,
a shadow without
define
light.
the
So.
personality of the angel who dons them. We know
Oh
that
my God,
universally,
yes.
white represents purity and innocence while black represents darkness and evil. These colors are used by artists worldwide to shape the shades they want to use in their palette. For Heejin, that was Vivi, Eve, and Olivia Hay. Vivi's color came from white and pink to form our innocent, doe-eyed angel spreading love and innocence.
Yep.
Eve's burgundy came from mixing black with pink, creating our defined and cunning angel. So then, what about Olivia? How can she spread vibrancy when her color is silver gray? Simple answer. Olivia High is a fallen angel. Her story is akin to that of Lucifer's.
Yeah.
We'll discuss this more when we delve into Egoist.
Woo.
Moving on. Heejin
I like
needs
it.
to create a palette
Olivia's
of colors
Lucifer.
containing
What the
red,
hell?
orange, yellow, and green. But what colors can we use to make most every other shade?
Primary
That's
colors.
right, the primary colors. This is where Yeonjin comes in. Her color is yellow, but she is introduced into a world where she is without her primary counterparts, red and blue. Loona makes a wonderful observation in that Yeonjin actually originated in the odd-eye circle plane. This makes sense as Yeonjin's mirrored girl is cherry, yellow and purple are opposite the color wheel, and purple was the result of blue and red trying to fill Yeonjin's gap.
Ah.
Oh, remember the properties of a Mobius
That's
plane?
awesome.
An object
Oh,
is
wow.
completely unrecognizable from
Boom.
its mirror image. Now that you mention it, Yeonjin and Cherin look almost identical, no? Anyways, Heejin's
A
goal
little
is to
bit,
create the
but not
colors orange and
mega.
green, since she already has red and yellow and her fellow angels
Wait.
filling the world with color.
No, it's Cherry
She
and
must
Chu that
utilize
had the
Kim
similar
Wook,
hairstyles.
Jinsool, and Yeonjin to beckon the green and orange girls. The first green and orange girls that come to be are Hasul and Yeojin. They reside happily in Eden until Yeojin gets lost in the Looniverse forest. There, Heejin and her obedient angel Vivi can live freely in the paradise of the Garden of Eden with the green and orange girls. Yeonjin also resides there. As stated, Kim Lip and Jinsool fill the gap on their plan by calling Yeonjin's mirror counterpart, Cherry. But then, what
That's
about the last girls?
crazy. That's
Well,
crazy.
it seems like Olivia Hay had plans of her own for her outlook on the Looniverse. Olivia Hay's character is a blatant allusion to the story of Lucifer, one of God's archangels that fell from heaven and
Egoist would make
due to
sense, yeah.
sin.
She's got ego.
To
There's a
simplify,
sin.
he, like everything else, was made in God's image, in a perfect state. He remained perfect in his ways until iniquity was found in him. Iniquity is just immoral behavior. His meant he sinned. And he committed one of the 7 deadly sins: pride. Lucifer became so impressed with his own beauty, intelligence, power, and position that he began to desire for himself the honor and glory that belonged to God alone. What corrupted Lucifer was pride. It is also known that Lucifer's sin was the actual original sin, occurring before Adam and Eve by quite a bit of time. God throws Lucifer to earth, and is absolutely cast out of God's government. He will still have access to heaven though. Lucifer is now corrupt, and changes his name from Lucifer, meaning morning star or bearer of light,
Morning star,
to
yeah.
Satan, meaning adversary or opponent. Lucifer and God are about to play an eternal game. Heejin and Olivia are about to play one too. One of vibrancy and dullness, of good and evil, dark and light. So now, Olivia tests her own powers. She obviously is very confident in them. She commissions her own green and orange girl. The one who tried to stop her is the innocent dear angel, Vivi. It is Vivi's job to stay by Heejin and to stand by her ultimate power and ideals for the Looniverse.
That's my baby.
So Olivia does what she must in order to get what she wants. She kills Vivi. Shocking?
No.
A bit. We'll look into Vivi's death and resurrection in a bit. Now with nothing in her way, and with Eve's innately cunning, dark ways prompting her to submit, Olivia can have Eve tempt. Much like this serpent, who is Satan, tempting Eve who then tempts Adam, Eve will go tempt Yanjin's mirror, beckoning her to create 2 more orange and green girls. And she has no choice but to submit. 2 and Gohan are born, black added to their color palette when submitting to Eve's temptations. This is how the Looniverse timeline flows. In my
That's
opinion,
crazy!
their
What is this?
solutions are all right
Holy
there.
crap!
It was just my job to reveal that and tell all of you fellow orbits. I believe Heejin is connected to Olivia, Kaisel to Gohan, Yojin to Chu, Vivi to Eve, Yanjin to Cherry, and Kinlip to Jinsul. We will defend these connections as we examine the music videos. I will cover them in my said timeline format.
That's crazy!
That is how I believe each Loona girl was summoned to the Looniverse. By Satan tempting Adam and Eve, working through the serpent, he thwarted God's purpose in making ideal, perfect humans, ones without original sin and thought. Just like Olivia, working through Eve and others, she trumps Heejin's original design for the Looniverse. This in turn allows for the dominoes to fall, for the lore to unfold. Are you ready to begin?
That's awesome. Genuinely awesome. Thoroughly awesome. I've never sat through something that long and not sat there and looked at the time. Like, did not look at the time once. That's crazy. It's genuinely nuts. That theory, the whole thing was fantastic. Well put together. Twinfish, fantastic. If you watch this video, amazing. Thank you very much for that. That was fantastic. Actually, comment and go find them on social medias and stuff. Holy crap, that was fantastic. The lore is incredible. The whole thing is fantastic and well thought out as well. Very well thought out and very insightful. So yeah, I'm excited to. I'm actually gonna watch all of them. All 12 girls like stories and stuff. 100% gonna watch them, but I'll kind of sprinkle them in with other bits through the week. But yeah. Wow, it was a long one, but yes, awesome. Thank you very much, guys, for sticking around to the end of the video. If you have any comments, queries, or concerns and requests, please put in the comment section for me, or hit me up on my social media, HostileGamerYT. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.